Today's episode of the Star Local Media High School Sports Podcast is brought to you by Poor Richard's Cafe and Star Local Media. Poor Richard's Cafe, Plano's oldest restaurant since 1973. They are open daily from 5:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., serving the three most important meals of the day: breakfast, lunch, and dessert. It is true Texas home-style cooking made with love and grit. That is Poor Richard's Cafe, located off of Avenue K in Plano. Welcome to another episode of the Star Local Media High School Sports Podcast. My name is Matt Welch. I'm the sports editor at Star Local Media, and I am being joined by Brian Murphy and Taylor Ragland. Hope everybody had a happy New Year. So now that we are officially back in the normal high school sports coverage routine for the week, and gentlemen, it is time to play some catch up. Yeah. So all the holiday tournaments are in the past. Basketball teams are finally resuming their district schedules this week, and so let's talk some girls basketball today. Let's whether it was stuff we noticed during holiday tournaments or during what little we've seen so far in the district schedules. Let's just kind of go around the horn and just talk a bit about some of the things that have stuck out these first few weeks of girls basketball play. Brian, where do you want to begin with this one?
The Frisco Girls District, they're already in the middle of district play. The second half begins Friday night, and there's a big one Friday night.
Okay. Liberty
against Lone Star. That's going to be a good doubleheader actually from the boys and girls side, but both girls teams are 8-0. Last year, those were the two cream of the crop teams of the district, and once again, they still are. Lone Star, they're blowing out everyone. They're state ranked. They're number 15. Liberty, they returned almost their entire lineup. They bring in a dynamic freshman as well, and she's made an impact. Jazzy Owens Barnett is her name. A great name, by the way. And so, they're one of these teams that they roll out 11, 12 girls like it's nothing. Coach Ross Reedy tells me after he's told me multiple times this season, he's like, yeah, 10 of these girls could start on every other team in the district. They're 8-0. They're playing lights out. They're playing very well. This Lone Star and Liberty, they haven't played yet, and so we'll see how that goes Friday night. And Lone Star's done this all without Mallory Adams.
Yeah.
The best player to come through that program. She's now one of the top players at San Diego State as a true freshman right now. But Adriana Quezada has really, really stepped up in her absence. She is a monster at the forward position. She's leading the team, averaging 18 points per game. Last I saw, almost 8 rebounds per game, 2 steals per game. She's literally doing it all. All of her numbers have gone up this season. Then you have other girls like Mia Deck and Leah Harris, two really athletic guards that really get after you on the perimeter. It's tough to score against Lone Star. And then when you have Quezada just scoring at will, they're tough to beat.
So what is the this game that's coming up later on this week? What is the kind of the biggest intangible that you're going to be looking for in this matchup between the Rangers and the Red Hawks?
It might be Randy Thompson against Adriana Quezada. Randy Thompson is Liberty's stud. She had some knee injuries and whatnot throughout her sophomore season. She was sidelined that entire season. Junior year, she was kind of bouncing back, and then this year she is balling. She's a top candidate for the district MVP. I think it's going to be her and Quezada battling it out for that accolade, and that might be a matchup to watch there in that game. But I think Liberty, they're so deep. It's not just one person each night doing the heavy workload. If someone's off, you have Kaylin Lay, Mara Casey, you have Kelsey Couric, girls all stepping up that have the potential to drop 20 points any given night. They may not do it each night, but they certainly are capable of doing that. And I have no idea who's going to win Friday. It's going to be a heck of a game.
Well, I won't hold your feet to the fire and make you give a pick or anything, but what a surprise! Just Lone Star and Liberty, just some things never change.
No, not at all. And another thing to note from that district, Frisco Memorial. I have not seen them play yet, but they're obviously in their first ever varsity season. They don't have seniors. And they're 5-3 in district play. They're right there in the playoff mix. If the playoffs were to begin today, they would be in it. And that's kind of, that's really shocking, actually, seeing as, You know, they weren't on my radar at all. And Lebanon Trail, they're not doing too bad themselves. They're 3-5 in district play as well. They have wins over some storied Frisco programs. Oh, I don't know how storied they can be being a few years old, but some established teams in that district. But Frisco Memorial, definitely a team to watch down the stretch as well.
Yeah, Frisco Memorial, their head coach actually has ties to a few of our other schools. Rochelle Vaughn, she was an assistant at Plano West and the head coach at McKinney Boyd. So yeah, she's having some early success at Memorial. So so before you obviously get to partake in that Lone Star Liberty game, you're going to dip your toes in some 9-6A action later on today, and we can pick up discussion with that district now because that district is going to be very top of mind for much of the season with as much star powers in that district. And so far, just through what the district schedule is only 3 games old, at least at the time we're recording this on Wednesday afternoon. Games are going to be played throughout the afternoon and tonight in that district. But so far, I don't know what your guys' take is on this district so far, but it feels like nothing is coming easy for anybody. And basically, no team is invincible. There's no clear-cut front runner. It looked like maybe early on, it looked like Plano Senior might be in position to just kind of pick up where they left off from last year, as they just rampaged through. Wins over Allen and Plano West. They beat Allen by 20 at Allen, our projected preseason favorite to come out of this district. They, Plano went in and just smoked them by 20. Then they beat Plano West by 19, and then they turn around and lose at home to McKinney, the McKinney team that had lost its first 2 district games.
The McKinney team that took Prosper to overtime.
It just shows it just shows how it kind of just reaffirms just the slim margin for error in this district, and just how every night there really is you just can't. There's no let up, because even a team like McKinney, there's already a nice little a triangulation thing working between Plano, Allen, and McKinney. Whereas you mentioned that McKinney lost to Prosper in overtime, and then they turned around and just got hammered by Allen by 25 or something. They turn around and beat Plano, which beat Allen, which.
Try and figure out those tiebreakers when the end of the season comes.
I guess I don't know. I kind of want to just spread this around to you guys. Have your thoughts on this district altered, much for the in the early going?
I don't think so, because it's so cliche, but it's the absolute truth with this district. There's so much parity, and the coaches, every single one of them throws out the old standby of any given night anybody can beat anybody. We got to be prepared. Any given night we got to show up. If you don't show up, you're going to get beat. And those things are tired. They get said a lot about a lot of different districts, but it's very, very true with this district, because coming in, Plano East was really, really hot. It looked like Tabby Diggs and company might have something really special going, and then they get knocked down a few pegs. And Prosper, we thought would kind of be a middle of the pack, and they've had a really good start with Jordan Oliver, and they've done really well and taken down some teams. Allen, like you said, has been really up and down. McKinney kind of coming out of not nowhere, but they have star power of their own, but it's definitely been a district where we've gotten what we expected. I didn't expect any team to run away with this district. I didn't expect any team to go 5-0 and in the first 5 games of the district and really establish themselves as the biggest threat and kind of run away with it. I didn't expect anybody to do that, and nobody's done it. And it's a product of not having a team that I think is leg up on anybody and that much better than anybody else, but also of how good I think all of the teams are, pretty much from top to bottom.
So as of right now, going over the standings, Prosper's in first place. They're 2-0. Plano Senior and Allen are tied at 2-1. Plano West 1-1 in fourth place. McKinney and Plano East 1-2, tied for fifth. McKinney Boyd in last at 0-2. And even though Prosper's 2-0, they play McKinney Boyd later today. But then we'll learn a bit more about kind of where Prosper stacks up, because this they will round out the first half of their district schedule against Plano, Allen, and Plano West. Games that are obviously a bit more higher caliber opposition than what they've seen so far. We said early on, kind of coming into this, that we thought that Allen might have, of these teams, Allen might have a bit of a leg up on others. Do we still feel that way? Or, is Plano showing
I've been impressed with
on?
Plano, I think. Just the way that they've kind of continued their success, and we had our doubts just about, they have some pieces coming back, but obviously lost a ton, from their state title run. So we had our doubts about whether or not they could continue that same kind of momentum. And on the boys' side, Allen's kind of the same way. It's these teams that, you have such success and then lose some key pieces, and everybody expects them to kind of take a step back, but they really haven't. I mean, I've been impressed with Plano. I've been impressed with, the way that they've gone about their business and won some basketball games. And honestly, I don't know if I've fully shifted over to thinking that, they're going to be the district champion or anything, but I've been very impressed with the way they've kind of approached district play so far.
Yeah, I got to see them in both their games against Allen and Plano West, and the thing that stood out to me about this Plano team, it's tough to compare them to last, because last year was just such a unique roster. You just from a physical standpoint, you're just not going to see too many girls basketball teams that can trot out the size and the length that Plano had last year. One thing about this team, though, is that they've got a lot of, they like to get up and down, and they've got, I want to say, like 4 different girls that are capable of running a fast break, which I think that's kind of an underrated intangible as far as being able to kind of attack a defense in transition, and there's just that many different ways. I mean, you have players like Jordan Merritt, Zaria Collins, Michaela Edens, Maggie Robbins. All of them feel like they're very comfortable bringing the ball up. When Plano does get that rebound and they just get going. And I mean, they're a very selfless team. They move the ball very well. They play. I mean, it was one of the hallmarks of last year's team. They play it's a very smart team. That game against McKinney, though, I didn't get to see that game, which is a bummer, because I mean, the way that they just kind of handled Allen and Plano West, even that was a little surprising in the moment, just because of, like you said, how much they lost from last year. And then the McKinney game seems to kind of reveal a little bit more about this team. And it's kind of like last year's team, they put a lot of minutes on those starters, so it's not a team that can afford to get into foul trouble. Sounds like that was a bit of an issue for them against McKinney. And then they defensively, they run a zone, and the way to beat a zone is simply by getting hot from the outside, moving the ball well, knocking down your open jump shots. McKinney has a player in Erin Fry who's capable of stretching the floor. She has 28 points in that game against Plano, and a lot of nights that'll be enough.
She hit a 3-pointer against Prosper to send that game in overtime. So they were really lighting up, and they're deep. That's the thing with McKinney. They don't have the superstar that Prosper, Plano, Allen, those teams have, but McKinney, they're deep. When I saw them play Prosper, they could go 6, 7, 8, 9 players deep, and they were all capable of putting up double digits just like that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Fry's not a 5-star prospect like these others, but she is still very capable, and she can go off for 20 to 30 points a night.
Probably. Yeah. Which is interesting, but I mean, I think it's really indicative of the district, like I said, too, just how much of a threat McKinney can be on any given night. Because really, outside of McKinney Boyd, which is the one team that maybe falls off a little bit as far as talent and ability to compete.
Watch tonight, they beat Prosper.
Yeah, then they go out and beat Prosper today, and we're all just confused. But
they've got, it's kind of like McKinney in the sense they've got one player in Zoe Jackson who's capable of dropping 25 a night. So
you never know.
Every team has that player, that one player who they can hitch their wagon to and count on for anywhere from 20, 25 points a night. It's just kind of a question. I think we alluded to this back when we were initially discussing this district, kind of what you're going to get elsewhere. And it seems like a lot of nights the best supporting cast will ultimately be what wins a lot of games in this district. Let's see, Taylor, we can shift gears, because I know you wanted to talk a little bit about some action over in 8-5A. We ran out the first part, so just talk some Lake Dallas.
I think the thing with Lake Dallas that's impressed me and kind of is a parallel to the volleyball season is that they're very young. They start 3 freshmen regularly in Mackenzie Buss and some others. She plays the one and does a good job handling the ball and getting inside. But at the beginning of the year, they had some of those problems that young teams have, closing out basketball games and finding a way to win and finding ways to hang on. They lose their first district game 43-45 to Northwest, and they lose to the Colony 55-51. And then they get a win. They beat Braswell 62-47. Then they really take care of Little Elm. They win by 20. And then I saw them, last week in the McKinney North tournament, and they played Byron Nelson. And that whole game, Byron Nelson never went away. Lake Dallas ended up winning 63-54, and that 9-10 point lead was pretty much there the entire game, despite Byron Nelson having a girl, 1, that put up 30 points, and 2, really never going away and really making sustained runs and trying to get back in the ballgame. They cut it to 1 or 2 points, I believe, at one point in the fourth quarter. But Lake Dallas hung on, and Lake Dallas kind of extended the lead back out and didn't panic, and that youth really showed up. And then obviously, Dorian Norris and Joe Elliott, who have been there for a while, really stalwarts of the program, and kind of the carryovers from, you know, the last couple of seasons, you know, it's coming together. It seems like under first-year head coach Catherine Madison. Obviously not first year with program; she was an assistant, but her first year is at the head of the bench, I guess, if you want to put it that way. So, you know, much like the volleyball team under first-year head coach Jason Raymer, you know, a lot of youth, but they're figuring it out. They're finding ways to, you know, win. They're learning how to win, especially in district play. You know, they've won their last two to be 2-2, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if they get in the postseason. I think we all picked them to, you know, finish up near the top somewhere. So it seems like it's coming together out there.
I think we picked them to finish second.
Yeah, we picked them up pretty high. So we'll
at the
see.
very least, after that district opener, it maybe seemed a tad ambitious, but who knows? It's a young team, so you'd expect that they'll be playing their best basketball is still to come.
Yeah, and like I said, those first two district games I think were decided by 6 points total. So I mean, in the second half, those games could go either way. I mean, I don't think either you know, Northwest or the Colony is that much measurably better. So I mean, who knows? In the second half, they may get, you know, revenge on both of them. We'll have to see.
Speaking of the Colony, that's a nice way to segue to our student athlete spotlight. And Justin Thomas had a chance to swing by the Colony to talk with their star backcourt of Jewel Spear and Tamia Jones. Let's see what those two girls had to say after a word from the sponsor. Today's podcast is brought to you by Star Local Media. 14 newspapers and websites with a print distribution of 270,000 homes and monthly page views of 600,000 online. Star Local Media, your community voice for news. And now, let's get back to the podcast.
All right, we're here with Tamia Jones and Jewel Spear, junior backcourt for the Colony girls basketball team. Ladies, thanks for taking some time to join us here on the Star Local Media Sports Podcast.
No problem.
Well, first wanted to say Happy New Year.
Same to you. Happy New Year to you too.
Did you guys get a little break from basketball action here, or did you guys stay pretty busy these last few days?
Stay pretty busy. Yeah. Tournaments, everything.
So you guys are coming off a couple seasons in which you guys have made at least the third rounds of the playoffs, so congrats on that. And I guess that makes for pretty high expectations this season. How do you feel the season's gotten started for you guys so far?
Yes. I feel like the season got started pretty good. We had a tough schedule. It wasn't a schedule where you just breeze by through every game. It was challenging, and it was set like that to prepare us to get to places like third round. So I feel like we attacked it pretty well.
Yeah.
Same thing.
You wanted to have a schedule that really challenged you during the non-district and stuff. What's the kind of the dynamic like when you guys go through a tough non-district and then you get into district and you have a few games and then all of a sudden you guys have to take a little break from it and do these tournaments and type stuff? Do you like that kind of break, or would you rather just keep rolling in district?
I like that kind of break because we get not to rest, but we get to reset and get our minds right for the playoffs. Because like you said, like T said, we started off really hard in the pre-district, and then district we just trying to go undefeated again, like it's never happened except last year. And then postseason we're just trying to go as far as we can. Hopefully state this year.
Is that kind of the expectations and the goals you guys have set for yourself, kind of getting through that regional round into state this season?
Yes.
Obviously, you guys have been on the varsity for a couple of years, but so have some of your other teammates like Chloe and Kennedy. Just talk about kind of the camaraderie and the chemistry that this team has this season and how that might be different from the last couple of years.
This season, I feel like kind of compared to freshman year. Freshman year was kind of us coming in and then also Jade coming in. So it's kind of we're trying to build that chemistry. But I feel like this year we have that chemistry, and it's something where you just got to do what you got to do, know your role, and ride the wave. We all know what it is on the court that we need to do. We all know how to communicate with each other. So I feel like it's easier to, say something to somebody without them feeling some type of way, because they know I'm communicating like this. You know me. This is what we do.
Like she said, it's just experience. Like everybody has experience now. We're juniors now. Chloe, Kennedy, seniors, a couple other seniors. So everybody knows their role. We know what to do.
Yeah.
You mentioned kind of the goals of reaching state. What is it that you feel this team does really well, and conversely, kind of what are you guys really working on these next few months before the playoffs to try to get to that goal?
We're mainly working on defense, because that's what we've been struggling on lately against the great teams. So if we just play defense and lock up our man and know our principles, we'll be fine. But I think we've been doing a really good job on offensively. Like, they're going to try and shut us down, but we have other players that can make plays too.
How long have you two, just in particular, been playing basketball together?
Since we were like
5 or something.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
A long time.
So you guys have been on the same AAU teams and stuff like that?
Yeah.
What's it been like, just kind of through that path, getting here to varsity, and now you guys are kind of quote unquote leaders of the team and trying to do stuff that the Colony hasn't done before?
I feel like it's kind of easy because even though we came in and made these impacts, we knew these girls.
Yeah.
We lived in the colony, so we knew, we played with all these girls, but way before we got into high school. So it was coming in, it was just easy to click with them.
And we know how to feed off each other. Like, we know if one person's off this game, the other person's going to be on, so we know how to click with each other.
So you guys have been playing pretty well. I know, 3-1, I think, over the tournament this past weekend, and then I got to see you guys play in that game against Denton Ryan right before Christmas break there. That was a pretty fun game to watch. You guys were both doing your thing. And Jewel, it seems like you've been on fire lately. I think I saw 4 of your past 5 games over 30 points, and then obviously that career high 40 against Ryan. Do you just feel like you're in a zone right now?
Yes, honestly. But I want to, like I said before, thank my teammates, because she almost had a quadruple double or whatever she had. Finding me, everybody else making an extra pass. But yes, I feel like I've been in the zone. How
does it change when you see Jewel or any of your teammates just on fire like that? Does it change what you try to do as a point guard, or do you try to operate the offense the same, or how do you approach things when one of your teammates just on fire like that?
You got to get her the ball, and that just helps me. I'm padding my stats off of her. I'm going for double doubles, triple doubles. So my points come within the offense. Yeah. So when she's on fire, get her the ball in the offense, and I'm gonna get my assists, and I'll get my points where they come, and that's how it happens.
I was joking with Coach that she took y'all out too early in that game, because could have got that quadruple trouble or maybe even a 50-point game. When you guys are rolling through a game like that, do you have any idea about your statistics, or it seemed like after the game you were pretty surprised to see that you had scored 40?
Yeah, we're just playing within the team, honestly. Just trying to get the dub, honestly.
All right, so you guys get back into district on Friday. Just what's it going to take down this home stretch to finish that undefeated district championship like you guys are shooting for?
Focus. You got to lock in. I mean, we had a break. We played throughout this break. We're practicing now. Now it's time to go district. It's no more room to lose a game. You lose a game, you're not undefeated in district. You lose a game later on, you're out the playoffs. So right now it's about focus.
Got to be locked in.
All right, anything else you ladies wanted to mention?
No, that's it. Hey, Cougs State State.
Yep, let's go.
Well, Tamia and Jewel, thanks for joining us. And if you guys haven't seen the Lady Cougars yet, you can check them out Friday out at Justin Northwest at 6:30. So thanks again, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, thanks go out to Jewel Spear and Tamia Jones at the Colony for being our guest on the podcast today. And you may have noticed we switched things up here. We have our Mesquite writer, Devin Hassan, our McKinney writer, Kendrick Johnson, and myself, Denton County reporter Justin Thomas, and going to hit on some few kind of girls basketball storylines that have kind of caught our eye early on, and having Jewel and Tamia on is a good segue for me, because that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. You know, right before we went to Christmas break, I got to see the Colony play Denton Ryan in a district game, and it was a kind of a individual performance, something that I've never really seen. Like, I mean, I've seen some big scoring games, but nothing like what Jewel Spear put on.
How many points she had?
She had 40, and she scored 23 in the second quarter, or the third quarter alone. She outscored Denton Ryan personally 23-5 in that quarter. She made, this is completely overshadowing Tamia Jones, by the way, who almost had a triple-double. My stats had her 2 rebounds short of a triple-double. But Jewel scored 40. She scored.
How many threes she had? Because I know she shoots.
She shot 6 of 11 for 3, including 6 makes in a row. She made.
Yeah. Oh, she
made at the end of the second quarter. She canned a couple threes. Then she comes back in the third quarter and she makes her first 9 shots of the third quarter. So she had made 11 shots in a row, and 6 of them were 3-pointers. Finishes with 40. She played like 30 seconds of the fourth quarter. So she easily could have made a run at 50.
Yeah, she's a great shooter. I saw her last year.
Tamia easily could have got a triple-double. I joked with Coach Pastis afterward, like, you're supposed to keep them in for storylines. So I could, like, I'm supposed to be writing about a triple-double in a 50-point game right now, and y'all beat them too bad. So, like, but anyway, so she was on fire, and she hasn't stopped in. She scored 40 that game. Okay, they play Houston Cypress Creek in the Mansfield tournament. Obviously a really good, big program there, and she only scored 17. But then she comes back to finish that tournament. She scores 32 against Seguin, 30 against MacArthur, another top 10 6A program, and then finishes with 28 against Arlington Bowie, another 6A program. So she comes back. Yeah, she's averaging well over 30 over her last 5 games, and has done it against some very good competition. And if y'all haven't seen her out,
right?
Yeah, they're both juniors.
I saw them last year. She was 0 for 4, shot 2 air balls in the first quarter.
Yeah, but then
and then hit 6 threes. Hit 6 threes in a row.
She missed her first 3 or 4 against Denton Ryan, and but if you haven't got a chance to, and she's not just ball movement, catching open threes. She's off the dribble. She's
explosive.
She's stepping back. Yeah. So if you have a chance to go watch her, she can shoot the ball. It's really fun. And then, as I said, Tamia just does everything too. So that backcourt is really exciting to watch over there at the Colony.
And then on my side, District 9-6A, where anything can happen. McKinney's, who I cover, of course, they lost 3 D1ers, and Quincy Noble, Jemiah Braxton, and Kayla Wooten, Moultrie, they had 4 years of experience. All 3 were 4-year starters.
Yeah.
All D1 players. So it's like, how are you going to replace 85% of your offense? Well, they've slowed the game down. They play a lot of strategy for each opponent, and it's worked. They lost in overtime to Prosper, who many people are picking to win the district, and lost to the defending state champion, Plano, who other people, they're not picking Prosper a bit, picking and beat them 55-48. So McKinney has a shot to be that team that's upstaging everybody in this difficult 9-6A, where anybody can win on any
what
night.
a loaded district that is, huh?
You got some of the best individual talents in the state. We got Puerto West, Jaden Owens. She's going to, I want to say UCLA.
Yeah.
And then you got Prosper. I forget she's going to Baylor. Going to Baylor. So you have a lot of individual talents up in this district.
And then Nia Green, the new girl, the transfer at Allen. Right?
Yeah, where's she going? I don't know where she's going.
She's somewhere big.
So you got a lot of D1 talents and that these teams have to face. So it's like a murderer's row. So for them to be in the mix and have all these question marks coming in, it's definitely been a head turner. So it's going to be interesting to see how they shake out, because they already got a win they weren't supposed to get, and they could have gotten 2, and they haven't even hit their stride. So hats off to Coach Harris and her staff for putting in a good coaching job.
Looks like they loaded up in the non-district too to get ready for it.
They played the Duncanvilles and stuff of the world,
Timberview and stuff.
So they're seeing stuff that they've seen before. So they've kind of gotten adjusted to this district, because, like I said, you got to bring your A game in District 9-6A, because you will get embarrassed.
Devin, whoever comes out for the playoffs from that district could be seeing some of your teams, huh?
Yeah, that's probably the team I've been keeping the closest eye on is Sachse. Off their state tournament appearance from a year ago, they returned their entire starting 5: Avery Krause, Jayla Brooks, Kayla Demas, Tia Harvey, and Adhel Tech. Again, they made that run, kind of a phenomenal run last year. They're 19-4. They had a couple losses here. They were ranked number 3 in the state poll coming into last week. I think they'll drop a little bit. They had 2 losses at the Standard Meadows Classic, but that's against the top field out there too. That's I don't want to get ahead of myself here.
They won pretty good over a couple teams that I think highly of that I cover, MacArthur and Louisville. So
they played some good competition. You mentioned running through that region. That 2 of their 4 losses are to Allen, a team that they could run into in the playoffs. They do have a win over McKinney. They do have a win over Prosper in terms of 9-6A, 10-6A matchups. So it's definitely going to be a tougher road for them once you get to the playoffs. But again, what I've been really kind of watching is how they dealt with the heightened expectation. This is a team that always has big goals, but not state tournament bound goals. And just to see how they've kind of handled themselves through a tough non-district run, taking care of business and district play, which they've done so far. They seem like they're pretty grounded. They're taking it one step at a time, to use all the coaches' cliches, but they're not getting too far ahead of themselves in terms of what they need to do. There's attending to the task at hand, and so far so good as they look to return to San Antonio.
Devin sound like a coach. He's getting the message. He's getting the message out there.
Not to put you on the spot kind of predictions wise, but is there anybody in that district that can even challenge them, or are they just going to be coasting to the playoffs now?
Rowlett.
Kendrick mentioned his district, and those teams are going to be battling each other, night in, night out.
We're still real early in the 10-6A slate. Sachse, Rowlett, and Lakeview are all 3-0. I have not seen Lakeview, but Rowlett's intriguing because they have 2 freshmen that have stepped in right away and made a big impact. They're double-digit scorers. They can do a lot of different things. I don't know if that gives them enough firepower to take Sachse down, who's now won 44 straight district games. But I think it's going to be a lot. I mean, last year they just breezed through and basically blew everybody out by 20 points, if not more.
This didn't hurt them in the playoffs last year, so.
No, but I think this year that Sachse Rowlett game is, both their head-to-head meetings are going to be really entertaining.
All right, well, that'll about do it for this edition of the podcast. Thanks for joining us, and check us back next week. I'm sure we'll be touching a little more on boys basketball and as teams get ready to resume district action and get back in the swing of things. So for Kendrick and Devin, I'm Justin. Thanks for joining us.